Folks, welcome back. I am fresh off the Toronto Sports Card Expo, a show I attended dozens of times since I was the age of 12, but this time I got a fresh perspective and was a dealer for the first time ever. A dream come true really for that 12-year-old who first graced the floor of the International Centre in Toronto all those years ago. I had an absolute blast. Because while I love being in sports cards, being with people and connecting may be my favorite part. People came by our booth, like my pal Sean and his son Alexander, whom I haven't seen since we played softball in 2005. My uncle Brennan and his son, whom I last saw in 2014. Sports cards reconnected us. I made so many new connections with families, children, other collectors, and even fans of the show, like Henry, Jacob, and Brian, and others I'm sure I'm forgetting who took the time out to make me and the work we do here at CCL appreciated. The Expo was massive. And for those that are unaware, the Sports Card Expo, as it's called here in Canada, is the equivalent to the National held each year in the USA. And much like the National Atlantic City this past summer, it was busy. It was very, very hard to get to a table at points, which is not a bad thing and confirms that the hobby is very much alive. The Expo was filled with two very large halls, which set a new record for the number of dealers, and both halls were connected by a very long hallway, perhaps 200 yards in length, where you would have stumbled across booth 1601, hosted by Keyson and Peyton of Pristine Worldwide. Absolutely dynamite people. And myself at CCL. And we were neighbored by the wonderful Ray and Jeff from the Hockey Hall of Fame and Thomas of TS Sports Memorabilia, with some of the coolest modern baseball and hockey memorabilia you could find. Even a set of game-worn cleats signed by Zach Pop from the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen. Those shoes were huge. But let's get to the reason you're all here. How was it and what did I see? Well, as stated, it was busy. Lots and lots of collectors, which remain the lifeblood of our hobby. In our booth, what moved most were cards that were priced, say, between $2 and $20, be it Bowman Chrome or Paper First, low-numbered parallels of third or fourth-year players, even a little Pokemon. Slabs of young guns like Ilya Sorokin, an elite goaltender in the NHL for the Islanders, and other NHL stars as well. Discounted slabs of players who really haven't amounted to much yet in the minor or Major League Baseball, as well as flagship slabs, aka Topps cards, high pop count slabs of MLB stars, which to be honest, I took a bath on, but was happy to pass them to collectors at a big discount. A lot of bigger ticket stuff I thought would sell did not, and it became quite obvious that should I do a show, or when I do the next show next fall, I will be armed with a lot more hockey, which is certainly understandable given the country I reside in, and the time of year. I was cautioned by my pal Nelson of Velocity Sports that the fall is soft for baseball, and he has been doing this show for several years, but I suppose I had to learn that for myself. It's sometimes the best way. There was lots of wax for sale, and while I had some of my own hockey wax for sale in 2021 Upper Deck Series 1, priced fairly, I did not receive one offer. Now, part of that can be attributed to the release of 2022 Upper Deck at the show, which was moving well since it was brand new. But in conversations with other dealers, wax was not moving well at all, unless it was heavily discounted. That seems to be accurate given how much Bowman products have been sliding in prices at Blowout and David Adams Card World. When collectors came by with baseball for sale, it was mostly flagship stuff and generally priced way too high. On the buy side, many shoppers came asking for Wander Franco and Bobby Witt Jr., I guess hoping to capitalize on the prices these players command these days, and what are fractions of their all-time highs last spring. I can't say I disagree with that approach when it comes to stars or potential stars like Wander Franco or Witt, who have shown they can do it in the show to a certain extent. I mean, I think it's a good approach. Baseball continues to be a market essentially left for dead, and for that reason, I'm attracted to it. Now, seasonality may play a part, and geography to a certain extent, as I mentioned, because I live in Canada. But this off-season seems to be worse than last year. And being a part of so many groups on Facebook, I can safely say this baseball sort of depression we're going through with cards is a North America issue when it comes to prices sliding and guys not selling. The show helped to kind of reiterate that for me. And when I say baseball was not moving, I'm talking about Bowman Chrome and top-level guys like Spencer Strider, Michael Harris Jr., even Vaughn Grissom, whose cards are off some 75% from their high. I mean, I sold a blue Grissom for $2,200 back in August. And then just last week picked up a blue PSA 10 for $660. Now, I don't say that to impress you, but to highlight how much opportunity exists in baseball these days. Grissom is just 21 and will be just 22 come spring training. And while he did have a couple of soft weeks following his impressive debut, he has shown he can hit MLB pitching. And well, I might add. So at $660, I figure I'm looking at $200 or $300 down and a double at least if things go well for the young Brave. But I digress. J-Rod, Evan Carter, although I did move one Evan Carter, they were not as popular as I'd imagined they would be at this Expo. While they may be sensible players to consider buying, it is very clear that what I call hot money, i.e. quick profits, remain entrenched in football and basketball. And sadly, the bottom may fall out of that market as well at some point, much as was the case with baseball. Now, I was hoping for more Bowman first of the athletes above. I was hoping they'd make their appearance at my booth and at the Expo, but that was not the case. Connor McDavid was a sell, and I would ballpark it as the Carter slab that consistently came by our booth. His 2015 Young Gun and PSA 10 is generally a very liquid card, but they kept popping up with a $4,000 cash ask, and they were not moving. I wasn't interested. Basketball and football were widely available to us as dealers, and again points to a softness coming in that market. Essentially, with higher prices and an oversupply, much like McDavid in hockey, prices are bound to come down as people are forced to sell. McDavid's used to be so liquid. That was a complaint I heard more than once, and while he's a tremendous player, too much of his flagship card, the 2015 Upper Deck Young Gun, may be a bad thing. I pointed to this in my latest I Just Invested episode a couple of weeks ago, but I'll say it again for those who haven't seen it. McDavid's gem pop counts at PSA are 2,407, and that will climb over time. Sidney Crosby's equivalent Young Guns card from 2005 is just 922 in terms of pop count, and I doubt there's a ton of that stuff left to rip and slab. Now, I don't say this as a bold prediction, only to highlight who is being showcased and subsequently not moved at the show. It does beg the question, as to why his auctions are doing so well, though. Fun fact, did you know that if you check out the two aforementioned cards on Card Ladder, that McDavid has twice the market cap of Crosby? Also fascinating, but very troubling. Market cap, for those that don't know, refers to the total value of PSA 10s in the pop count, i.e. if there are 2,407 McDavids in PSA 10, and you multiply that by the current value of $3,550 each, you get a market cap of $8.55 million. This can be done for any card and gives you a very good way of comparing their current valuations, much like a stock. If a card like the McDavid has 3x the pop count and 3x the market cap or total valuation of Crosby, it's kind of a warning. I'd be selling too. I did have some very nice pickups as a dealer in a little Ezekiel Tovar, Wander Franco, and J-Rod color, not non-firsts, Ricky Tiedemann color, and all at fabulous prices, but not nearly as many acquisitions as I had hoped for. But yes, there were plenty of sellers trying to sell the dealer, some with absolutely absurd asking prices, and really inflexible to boot. And that is very much what I'm hearing from colleagues in the industry, both here and south of the border. Now, given that the sports card market continues to soften, much like the financial markets, it's no surprise that most people are trying to sell what's hot before it falls, or from fear of it falling further. The Expo was a fantastic experience and offered some wonderful insights into the health of the hobby, or lack thereof in certain areas. But all that aside, it was an awesome experience. And not only that, my kids got to help Dad sell and do a little selling themselves, making it a family affair, which was super cool to me personally. Folks, thank you so much for joining me, and as always, for your time. Do keep in mind that anything said on this channel is strictly my opinion and should be taken as such. And be sure to subscribe, as we will be profiling former number 2 overall pick, Heston Kjerstad, fresh off his AFL MVP win in just a few days. Have an amazing weekend.